Hi everyone. So in this particular video, we will talk about the different concept of the Terraform. So till now, we have seen that how can we create the Terraform resources for our local system, and how can we use the resource block of the Terraform to create different resources. Correct. We have seen that the how we can have the multiple ways of passing the variables, like we can write down the variables, and we can have five multiple ways to pass the variable value to our resource block of the Terraform. Correct. In this particular video, we will be talking about the data block, which is the concept of the resource Terraform resource, and we will be talking about this output block that we will be using within this Terraform to print out anything over the console itself. So these two major things we will be considering in this video, and we will talk about this. So what's the use case of this data block, where it comes? Suppose that you have launched VPC earlier. Correct? This VPC has been launched manually, and now you want to create subnet out of that. Correct? You want to launch your two subnets. I will say that you want to launch two subnets here, but you have not written any of the resource to create the VPC. This VPC was created manually, but now you want to manage these subnets with the help of Terraform. So obviously to launch this subnet, you will require the VPC ID, but you have not launched the VPC ID. So Terraform will not understand that which VPC ID it has to use and where it will launch the subnet. So for that, you can get this VPC and the ID of the VPC with the help of data block, and you can pass that in the resource block of the subnet. Correct? So the data block has the same very simple purpose, that whatever the infrastructure is existing and you want to utilize that infrastructure details in your resource block of the Terraform, you can have the data block, and data block will get to the AWS console or any of the cloud console you are using. It will get the details from there, and it will pass into the your resource block of the Terraform. Correct? So that's the simple use case of the data block we will see here. Right? And then we will see the use case of the output. So what output does? Output is just like the print command, correct? So it will print the value, whatever you are declaring here at the console, so that you can verify. And if you want to utilize the value of the output, you can utilize that in the another file or another resource block, correct? So that you can do the passing value from one file to another file. So for that, you can use this output. Okay, so let's go to our code, and we will start creating the resources. Correct? So first of all, for this VPC here I am writing the resource block, but I won't be writing this resource block. Correct? Because we have to see the concept of this with data block concept. Correct? Or we can do yeah, let's create one VPC, and we will use that VPC ID for creation of our this subnet. Correct? So here, if you see, I'll be creating the demo VPC so that I can use the VPC ID of that. So I'll be creating one VPC with the name of demo VPC. So let's get into the AWS console. I hope it's being recorded. Yeah. So let's get into this AWS console. I'll be creating one VPC, create VPC. And what was the name of the VPC? It should be demo underscore VPC. So this will be the name, demo underscore VPC. So yeah, that will be the name, demo underscore VPC only, and the range I will be passing is 10.0.0.0/16. That will be the IP CIDR block for my VPC. Tenancy I will be keeping it as default, and the name, it will be the demo VPC. So based on this tag value only, we will filter out the VPC and the VPC ID. Correct? So let's create the VPC. So okay, now you can see this demo underscore VPC has been created, and it has the tag with the name. So in the tag, it has the name demo underscore VPC. Now we will be creating one subnet. So as of now, you can see there is no subnet other than the default one. So these are the subnets created with the help of default VPC. So there is no name. Okay, so let's just restrict ourselves to this page, and we will try to write the resource block to create the subnets. Okay. So I'm just removing this particular value for the VPC creation. Okay. So now here I'm writing a resource AWS subnet, my subnet. So rather than my subnet, I'm just giving it as subnet, the alias as a public subnet. First, I will be creating as public subnet. Camel case we will be using public subnet and the VPC ID and the CIDR block and the tag names I have to pass. So in the tag name, I'm just passing the tag name as the public and then public subnet 1. I'm just giving it to the public subnet 1. And CIDR block, as we have the VPC ID 10.0.0 slash 16. That was our CIDR, correct? You can see here that was our CIDR 10.0.0 slash 16. So here we will be keeping it as a slash 24 so that it will have at least 256 number of IP address range. And which VPC it will use to create the subnets. So for that we are referring to this data block. So within this data block, what are the other things we are defining? So in the data block, we are saying that it has to get into the AWS VPC and in which AWS account it will go. That I hope you understand very carefully. So you have to pass the access key, secret access key, and the region. Then you are using provider of the AWS block. So based on these credentials, these are the temporary credentials, correct? Because I will be deleting this after the demo. So it's a kind of temporary credentials for you guys. So you can create your own and you can do the experiment. So based on these credentials, it will get into my AWS account and it will get into the AWS VPC service, and then it will search for this VPC with the name of demo underscore VPC based on the tag. So in the tag, it will go for the name and it will like the name will be the key and the value will be the demo VPC. So I'm just giving it the name as selector rather than selected VPC. I will be saying it as a my VPC. That will be my resource, correct? So my VPC. And then here in the VPC ID, rather than passing any direct VPC ID directly, either I can pass the VPC ID hard coded value here. Like I can get into the AWS console and I have this VPC ID. I can directly copy it and pass it in this here in the VPC ID block. But rather than doing this, just a template kind of creation. So I'll be writing a data block. I'll be giving the resource attribute and then the alias of that resource and in the filter name and the value. And here I have used the similar. So it's data. Because it's the data block from where we want to fetch. So it's the data. And you can see the definition of the data block as well, correct? A data block requires that Terraform read from a given data source and export the result under the given local name, correct? This name is to refer this resource from elsewhere in the same Terraform module. Okay. So data.aws VPC, that's the resource attribute. And then the my VPC, which has the alias of the VPC. Then the ID, because it will fetch the VPC ID. Correct? That's fine. And the tag name public subnet. If you want to create another subnet, I will be using the same resource block with the different name. So let's create two subnet here. I will be passing uh AWS subnet public subnet 1 or 2. Let me give it as a this one as a public subnet 1 and this name will be the public subnet 2. ID will be the same and the CIDR block I will be changing 10.0.1.0 and then the second one will be 2.0 and the name will be public subnet 2. Okay, that's fine. So let me do one thing. Let me remove these things and I'll be doing AWS subnet and let's create this. Control S. In the variables, I'll be passing the default one. But yeah, there's no use of that variable. Let's do the Terraform init here. Terraform init. Let me just stop for 1 second here in between. Yeah, back to the video. So we did the Terraform init, and these were the things we were trying to create. Data AWS PPC, resource AWS subnet block. Two subnets we were trying to create, public subnet 1, public subnet 2, and we are using the same PPC ID with the help of data block, correct? So let's do the Terraform plan. Terraform plan. Okay, and you will see that one log file has been created over the state file. correct? You can see now the plan: 2 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. So it's using the BPC ID, this one, BPC 0183EC6. You will see it's the same BPC ID what we had created manually. So with the help of this Terraform data block, it went into the AWS BPC service. It searched for this BPC name and it fetched the BPC ID based on this syntax, correct? So you can see that. Now we'll be here also in the public subnet 1 and the public subnet 2. Like this is public subnet 2 and the above one is public subnet 1. It has fetched the VPC ID and all other details what we have passed, the subnet details, CIDR block for the subnet 1 and the subnet 2, correct? You can see. Now let's do the Terraform apply. Terraform apply, and here we will do the auto approve. You might have seen in last video. You can watch out the last video if you want to get into the other details of the Terraform. If you want to proceed with the from the beginning, correct? So you can watch out. Terraform apply and plan to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. Two subnets have been created. Let's get into the subnet. There should be two subnets created. Yeah, public subnet 2, public subnet 1. So these two has been created, correct? You can see that. And it's attached with the BPC ID 0183, the public subnet 2 and the public subnet 1. So this is how we can have the use case of the data block within this our Terraform resources, correct? If you want to clear the console on your VS Code, you can simply type the clear and it will clear your console, correct? So that's the use case of the data block. Now we will see the use case of the output block here. So let me do one thing. I'll be writing output and I'll be writing the name as subnet ID. Okay. And then here in the value, I'll be putting as a block for the value. And then I'll be passing as the AWS subnet dot public subnet one dot ID. Correct? So that will be the value I want to print. So I want to print the value for both, correct? So let me do it for the it will be the value for public subnet 1 and then the ID. I will be printing it here with the name of ID. And similarly, I'll be creating one more output block, output, and it will be, sorry, let me remove this, public subnet 1 ID and the public subnet 2 ID. So we want to print the ID value and then the AWS subnet, public subnet 2 dot ID, correct? So we have used the data block to get in the VPC ID, what we passed in the AWS subnet, and subnet has been created. You can see in the state file as well that this subnet has been created. And this is the configuration for the VPC, then the ARN of the VPC, and other details like if you see the AWS subnet, public subnet 1, the ARN, and then these are other details what the CIDR and these are the subnet ID. So all these informations are shared in the state file. But now I want to print all these details over the console here. So earlier we said that it was not printed over the console, correct? These are the sensitive information or the configuration related information which are stored in the state file. This state file you can have it on your local system or in your AWS S3 if you are using the AWS. That means the simply the remote backend, the AWS S3 or the Google storage or the Azure blob storage that you can use. Correct. So now we will be using this use case of the state file in next video, but for now we are more focused on the data block and the output block. So here I have written the output block. So we want to print the ID of these two subnets what we have created, correct? So ID you can see from here, subnet 08F and 0BT. We want to print these two ID on our console. So let's save the changes. Let's run the Terraform plan. Okay. And it will reflect you the changes, whatever the changes we have made, either the plus, minus, or any kind of changes. So what are the changes? Rest of the details are the same. The data block was initially, resource block was there, and all the creation was there. What's the changes? We have written down two outputs which should print the subnets ID. So you can see changes to output plus it has been like it has been added, and this subnet ID needs to be printed subnet 0BD and 08F. So these are the subnets 0BD and the 08F, correct? You can see that. Let's do the Terraform apply, and you will see that on the console. Let's the Terraform apply, auto approve, and it will be printed. Okay, so in the output, you will see here it after the apply complete, generally it ends, correct? But when we have added this output block, you can see public subnet 1 ID and the public subnet 2 ID. It has been printed. So this is the simple use case, and this public subnet ID 1 and 2, you can look for any kind of confirmation, or you can use this output into another resource or into any another modules. We will be learning about the modules and the other details. So you can use this. So this is how we can have the concept of the data block and the output block within this Terraform. So that's it for today, and we will come up with another interesting topic of the Terraform that we will be talking about the state file. So till that time, thank you. Bye bye. We will meet in the next video.